Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pragashaya Sochara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Lacey Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Thai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, Chapter number 12. Title Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Text number 13. Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Abhoger Asubhashayam Abhoger Asubhashayam Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Abhoge Rasubhashayam Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Abhoge Rasubhashayam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Abhoge Rasubhashayam Matajis Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan Abhoge Rasubhashayam Satrimsad Varsa Sahasram Sasasa Shiti Mandalam Bhoge Punya Shayam Kurvan abhogera subhashayam. Word for word translation. Sat Trimsat 36 Varsha years, Sahasram 1000, Sasasa ruled, Shitti Mandalam the earth planet, Bhoge by enjoyment, Punya of reactions of pious activities, Shayam diminution, Kurvan doing, Abhoge by austerities, Ashubha of inauspicious reactions, Shayam diminution. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj ruled over this planet for 36,000 years. He diminished the reactions of pious activities by enjoyment, and by practicing austerities, he diminished inauspicious reactions. Purport. That Dhruva Maharaj ruled over the planet for 36,000 years means that he was present in the Satya Yuga, because in the Satya Yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years. In the next Yuga, Treta, people used to live for 10,000 years, and in the next Yuga, Dwapar, for 1,000 years. In the present age, the Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life is 100 years. With the change of the yugas, the duration of life and memory, the quality of kindness, and all other good qualities diminish. There are two kinds of activities, namely pious and impious. By executing pious activities, one can gain facilities for higher material enjoyment. But due to impious activities, one has to undergo severe distress. A devotee, however, is not interested in enjoyment or affected by distress. When he is prosperous, he knows, I am diminishing the results of my pious activities. And when he is in distress, he knows, I am diminishing the reactions of my impious activities. A devotee is not concerned with enjoyment or distress. He simply desires to execute devotional service. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that devotional service should be apratihata, unchecked by the material conditions of happiness or distress. The devotee undergoes processes of austerity, such as observing Ekadasi and similar other fasting days, and refraining from illicit sex life, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Thus he becomes purified from the reactions of his past impious life, and because he engages in devotional service, which is the most pious activity, he enjoys life without separate endeavor. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today is a very auspicious day. Today is Rama Ekadasi. This is the day that Srila Prabhupada finished translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Prabhupada, he used to quote his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, that, if the whole world starts to flood and you have to let go of everything to save yourself, you're in the waters of devastation and you can't hold on to many things, so you have to let go of your possessions. Then let go of everything, but just keep three books with you. One is Bhagavad Gita, second one is Srimad Bhagavatam, third one Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then you're swimming in the flood waters and still you're finding it difficult. and you need to let go of something, then you can let go of Bhagavad Gita. Still the weight is too much, you need to let go of something, then you can let go of Srimad Bhagavatam. But then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, but never let go of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is the topmost book. Everything we need to know is in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Prabhupada, he used to always say that Bhagavad Gita, that's like high school study. Srimad Bhagavatam, that's graduate study. And Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's postgraduate study. And Prabhupada used to often mention that his spiritual master, his hobby, whenever he would have any spare time, as a hobby or for fun, he used to read Chaitanya Charitamrita during his leisure time, Prabhupada used to say. So, and Prabhupada also, he used to follow in the footsteps of his spiritual master. When Prabhupada, he went to America on the ship Jaladuta. That time, what were Prabhupada's possessions? All he carried was some trunks of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, to sell and distribute. So Prabhupada is the original book distributor. He himself started book distribution. So when he went from India to America, he carried, big trunks full of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to sell and distribute in America. And he carried some food. He carried some dry cereal that would last, for a few months, won't go bad, as his means of sustenance. And he also carried his Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one might ask, what was Prabhupada doing on the ship, for a few months? It's like quite a long time. So many weeks, what was Prabhupada doing on the ship? So Prabhupada was mentioning that he used to read Chaitanya Charitamrita while he was on board of Jaladuta. And Prabhupada used to relish reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is the topmost spiritual literature, Prabhupada says. So it is on this auspicious day, Rama Ekadasi, that Prabhupada finished translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. I always remember this Ekadasi because first time I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, this was 7-8 years ago, and I was reading for the first time, and then I had reached the final volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I was just in the last chapter, I was in the last few pages of the book, of the final volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that day, I remember, we were in New Gokul Farm. So all the, ashram devotees from temple, we had all gone to the farm for the day. And we spent the day in the farm, and then we were leaving the farm, driving back. And just as we were driving away from the farm, I was in the back seat and I was opening my Chaitanya Charitamrita, the final volume. And the last chapter is the Shiksastakam prayers. So I was reading that, and then I finished the last chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then I saw at the end of the book, after the last chapter is finished, there is a section called Concluding Words, where Prabhupada writes the final words for CC, for Chaitanya Charitamrita. So then I started reading the concluding words by Srila Prabhupada. And in the concluding words I'm reading, Prabhupada writes that today, on this most auspicious day, of the 10th day or the 11th day, during, I think it was like November 10, during the month of Kartik, we have finished this, translating this great work. And then I was reading, Prabhupada finished this during Kartik, and I was thinking, wow, this is also Kartik. At that time when I was reading, it was also Kartik. And Kamsari Prabhu was there with me in the car. I was telling, Prabhupada, I just finished CC, and Prabhupada finished CC during Kartik. Now it's also Kartik, like that I was telling Kamsari Prabhu. Then I continued reading, and then Prabhupada says that on this most auspicious day of Rama Ekadasi, we have finished translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then I was thinking, that day when we were on the farm, that day when I finished reading Chaitanya Charitamrita the first time, that day was also Ekadasi. And then I was like shocked, and then I was thinking, is today actually Rama Ekadasi also? So then I got my phone out, and then I searched on the calendar, and that day was actually Rama Ekadasi. And I was getting like goosebumps, on the exact day when Prabhupada finished translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. Somehow, by chance, I didn't plan for it, I ended up finishing exactly on the same day. I was getting like goosebumps when I read that actually. So this Ekadasi I always remember, because this is the day when Prabhupada, he finished translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it's Rama Ekadasi, not Rama Ekadasi. So Rama refers to, it's the name of Krishna, or could also refer to Lord Balaram. And if you pronounce it differently as Rama, that refers to Lakshmi Devi, or goddess of fortune. I remember initially when I was a new devotee, we used to chant, as we're doing now. At that time, Ghanshyam Prabhu, he used to chant with us. And if he used to notice, any one of us falling asleep, he would, wake us up, tell us to walk and chant. Or if he used to notice us, not pronouncing the syllables properly, he used to, out of his kindness, he used to come and correct us, tell us that you're not pronouncing this nicely, you're skipping a word, like that. So in this way, he used to train all of us, to chant nicely. I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, in his book, Servant of the Servant, he writes similar pastime that during his time, when they used to go on traveling Sankirtan, they had the traveling Sankirtan party, and they used to have so many brahmacharis. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, during japa time, he used to watch all the new bhaktas chanting, and when he used to notice any new bhakta falling asleep while chanting, or not chanting nicely, he used to come and nicely talk to them, preach to them about the importance of chanting and help them, improve their chanting. So same way, Ghanshyam Prabhu, he used to help us chant nicely during when we were beginning devotees. When I first started practicing, that time Ghanshyam Prabhu, he wasn't in Sydney. That time he was in India. He was getting training in Pune, ISKCON Pune, run by His Grace Radhashyam Prabhu. And so after a couple of months of me practicing here in Sydney, then Ghanshyam Prabhu, he returned from India. Then I saw Ghanshyam Prabhu for the first time. And the first time I saw him during morning program chanting, he was just sitting with eyes closed, with straight back, just like in complete, samadhi, and just non-stop, just chanting, just in one go, not moving, nothing, just drinking water and just chanting. And first time I saw someone chanting, so nicely, so intensely, so perfectly. And when I saw him chant like that, I was like shocked. I'd never seen anyone chant, so nicely and so perfectly, with so much sincerity and determination. And I was like, who is this person, chanting like this? I've never seen anyone chant japa like this. And I was like feeling so inspired, I was thinking, I want to chant like this guy, I want to be like exactly like him. So then I used to sit next to him and I used to try to imitate him, try to also sit with straight back, eyes closed and chant. And I used to try for 2-3 minutes, and then my back used to hurt. Then again I will come down. Then again I used to try, again my back used to hurt, again I would come down. Then I was thinking, how does he do it, how does he sit for 2 hours, just straight back, non-stop, just chant without getting up, walking around, doing anything. But, I was determined. I was like, I have to be like him, I want to be like that. So I just kept trying. After a few weeks, my back stopped hurting and then my body just adjusted itself. Then I was just able to also, just sit with straight back and just chant. So during that time, sometimes Ghanshyam Prabhu used to sit with us, and if he used to notice anything, us not pronouncing or falling asleep, skipping words in the mantra, he used to help us, correct us. Because nature of our mind is such that the mind will always tell us we're doing everything perfectly. The mind will tell us that, yes, our chanting is first class, our singing is first class, our reading is first class, everything we're doing perfect. So mind will always tell us we're the best devotee, we're doing everything perfectly. So that's why we need guidance, of senior devotees to help point out areas of improvement where we can improve, and to help point out areas where we're doing something wrong. Others will keep doing so many aparadhas, seva aparadhas, nama aparadhas, aparadhas against Vaishnavas, if we're just on our own. But if we have senior devotees around us, then they can help point out areas where we're going wrong. So I remember one time Ghanshyam Prabhu, he pulled me aside and he told me that it's Hare Rama, not Rama. When you're chanting, you're saying Rama Rama. Instead of saying Rama Rama, you're saying Rama Rama. And when you say Rama Rama, that's a complete different mantra. Then you're addressing Lakshmi Devi instead of addressing Krishna or Balaram. So say Hare Rama, not Rama. So that time, for some time, I was chanting Rama, Rama, Rama. So luckily, Ghanshyam Prabhu pointed out to me. Otherwise, till now, I will be just chanting the same thing, Hare Rama, Rama, instead of Rama, Rama. So Prabhupada, in his books, he writes, we have to be careful when we chant, that we pronounce every single syllable very distinctly and clearly, like that Prabhupada writes in his purports. Every single syllable of the mantra, we should pronounce very distinctly and clearly, Prabhupada says. So that is the job of the tongue. With the tongue, we pronounce every syllable very nicely, distinctly, and clearly. And then Prabhupada says, with the ear, we hear very attentively. That's it, very simple. So Prabhupada didn't say, we have to think of, a picture of Krishna in our mind, imagine some pastime, think of some white light, nothing. Prabhupada says chanting means you simply, with the tongue, chant very nicely, clearly, and with the ear, you just hear the mantra. That is attentive chanting. So we don't have to invent anything new. We just follow what Prabhupada has taught us, and we try to chant as attentively as possible. Mind will no doubt wander, but we have to keep bringing back the mind. And this way, every day we should practice, good quality, attentive japa. So that's Rama Ekadasi. Now coming to today's verse. So these few verses we've been discussing now about Dhruva Maharaj. He talks about how Dhruva Maharaj, he ruled as a perfect saintly king. How long did he rule this planet? It's mentioned he ruled for 36,000 years. So Prabhupada in the purport, he writes that this must have been during Satya Yuga, because in Satya Yuga, people, they used to live for 100,000 years. So that was the lifespan of a human being. Then came Treta Yuga. Then lifespan reduced to 10,000 years. Then came Dwapara Yuga, which is the time when Krishna, he appeared and performed his pastimes. The Pandavas, they appeared. So during that time, human beings used to live for 1,000 years. Then comes Kali Yuga, the Yuga which we're in. And the duration of life during this Yuga is maximum 100 years. So Prabhupada here mentions that as the Yugas progress, the duration of life also reduces. Not only does that reduce, but also the principles of religion, they reduce by 25% with each yuga. So during Satya Yuga, all the principles of religion like cleanliness, austerity, so on and so forth, they were full. Everyone was very sattvic, very nice, exhibiting all kind of saintly qualities. Then with the coming of the next age, Treta Yuga, religious principles reduced by 25%. Then came Dwapara Yuga, then it reduced by another 25%. Then it became 50%. Then came Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it's mentioned that only 25% of religious principles are present, and that also is, with the passing of time, is reducing more and more and more and more. Until finally at the end, everyone will be so much in religion that Krishna will become fed up. He will just come as Kalki and just go all around the world and just kill everyone. Or liberate everyone. Anything that Krishna does is all auspicious. And not only that, Prabhupada mentions with each passing age, memory power also reduces, all kinds of saintly qualities reduces. Also in Shastra it's given that the size of the human beings, they also reduce. Like we see that with Balram when he gets married to Revati. So Revati, she's actually from a previous yuga. So when Balram has to marry Revati, she's so much taller than him because she's from the previous yuga. So Balram, he's like normal height, normal Dwapara Yuga height, but Revati, she's like so high up. So, how can this marriage, happen, if the bride is so tall? So Balram, he gets his plow and he just kind of, reduces her height using his plow, brings her down. So then they get married. Or after marriage, he does this. So the size of the human beings, they were different in previous yugas. They were much taller. With every passing age, the size of human beings, they also reduce actually. So now we're in Kali Yuga. So with each yuga, there's also different processes of religion. In Satya Yuga, the process for enlightenment was meditation. That's what we saw Dhruva Maharaj doing. He was in the forest doing tapasya. Then came Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, the process was fire sacrifice. So when we talk about fire sacrifice, it's not like some small fire sacrifice like we do in our temple nowadays, just like a 1 meter by 1 meter fire sacrifice. Fire sacrifice during that time meant like a huge, like you feel like we have the North Sydney Stadium there. So during Treta Yuga, if you wanted to have a fire sacrifice, you need to have that much amount of space, for a fire sacrifice. You need a whole stadium. It's mentioned, the Yagna Kund, it will have 4 sides, right? It's like a square. So on each side of the Yagna Kund, there'll be like thousands of brahmanas seated on each side. So you can imagine a line of at least 1,000 brahmanas, How long would each side of the kund be? So during that time, they had so many resources, so much ghee, wealth, opulence, so they could afford to do all these huge fire sacrifices. And so much charity used to be given in these fire sacrifices. I was reading about, in Krishna book, about this king called King Niga, the king who became a lizard. And it's mentioned this king, the amount of charity he used to give. When he meets Krishna, and Krishna, he asks him, who you are, how did you become a lizard? That time, this king, he mentions that I am the son of King Ikshwaku. So Ikshwaku, I think everyone has heard of his name. He's actually a son of Vaivasvata Manu. So our present Manu, his name is Vaivasvata Manu. And his father is the sun god. Like if you remember first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyam Vivasvan Manave Prayer Manur Ikshva Kave Bravit. So in the first verse of 4th chapter Gita, Krishna says, I spoke this imperishable science to the sun god Vivasvan. Then Vivasvan spoke to his son, Vaivasvata Manu. Then Vaivasvata Manu, he spoke this to his son, who is King Ikshwaku. So our current Manu, he is the 7th Manu in the day of Brahma. His name is Vaivasvata Manu, and he is the son of the sun god, whose name is Vivasvan. Now Vaivasvata Manu's son is King Ikshwaku. King Ikshwaku's son, one of his sons' name is this great king called King Niga. And this king mentions that he was very famous for giving charity. Especially he used to give a lot of cows in charity to brahmanas. How much so? He mentions to Krishna that if you go all around planet Earth and you count all the dust particles which is present around the whole world, that won't equal the number of cows I have given in charity. So you can imagine, how much he gave in charity. So you go around the world, calculate all the sand particles or dust particles. It's like unlimited, billions and trillions. And he says, that amount won't equal the number of cows I gave in charity. Then he mentions, if during a rainy season, it starts pouring, and if someone can calculate all the drops of water that fall on planet Earth, that amount won't equal the number of cows I gave in charity. Or if a scientist, he looks in the sky and he starts to count all the numberless stars in the sky. That unlimited amount of stars in the sky, that won't equal the number of cows I gave in charity. So this is how much cows he gave in charity. So this was the caliber of kings in previous ages, in previous yugas. They used to have so much wealth, so much opulence. Nothing, our present day leaders, the opulence we have now is, nothing in comparison to what the opulence these kings had in previous ages actually. Not only that, he mentions, not only did I give so many countless cows in charity, but every single cow I gave in charity, was a very healthy and young cow who had just given birth to one calf. So if a cow is young and has only given birth to one calf, her bags will be, milk bags will be full of milk. So it's not that he just randomly gave a lot of cows in charity, some old cows or cows that are about to die or some injured cows. But no, every single cow of this, billions and billions of cows he gave in charity, every single cow was fully healthy. Not only were they healthy, but they had just given birth to one calf, which means the milk bags was totally full and they were giving a lot of milk. Not only that, then he mentions next, each cow I gave in charity, the horns, they were gold plated. And the hooves, the feet of the cows, they were silver plated. Not only that, I garlanded all the cows I gave in charity with beautiful pearl necklaces, golden ornaments, jewelry, and I had given silken, wrappers, silken wrappers or shawls for each one of the cows. So in this way, very nicely, I gave all these billions and billions of cows in charity. So you can just imagine how much money and opulence and wealth this king had. We can't even conceive, actually. So this is the opulence that was present here in planet Earth in previous yugas. So this king is from the time of Dwapara Yuga, during Krishna's time. So in previous yugas, they had so much wealth and opulence, actually. So that's why they could do these huge fire sacrifices. But now, we have nothing like that. So that was the process during Treta Yuga. Fire sacrifice, then comes Dwapara Yuga. What's the process? Deity worship. So Dwapara Yuga, the process was deity worship. Then comes Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, the process is Harinam Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's so amazing, Prabhupada. He, quoting from Shastras, he explains that, all the spiritual credits that these great personalities, they were able to get in previous yugas by doing these huge fire sacrifices, by doing tapasya for thousands and thousands of years, we can get the same spiritual credit, we can get the same benefit simply by chanting Hare Krishna, simply by doing Sankirtan. In one lecture, Prabhupada, to drive home this point, he mentions to the devotees in the audience that Valmiki Muni, he did tapasya for 60,000 years. That's how long he did his meditation for, 60,000 years. And then Prabhupada tells the audience that, this great Rishi Valmiki, to become perfect, he did tapasya for 60,000 years. But now in Kali Yuga, the process is not meditation, process is Sankirtan. So if you go out on the streets and you simply do Sankirtan for 6 days, go out and do Harinam for 6 days, or go out and distribute books for 6 days, 6 days of Sankirtan on the streets of whichever city you are in equals to 60,000 years of tapasya that Valmiki Muni did. You'll get the same benefit that Valmiki Muni got. Amazing, right? You just go out and distribute books for 6 days, that equals to doing 60,000 years of tapasya in such a yuga. So in this way, Prabhupada drives home the point, the power of Sankirtan. So this is the mercy of Krishna, of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, that Krishna, he understands, in this yuga everyone is so fallen, so useless, they can't do anything, All they can do, they can use their tongue and chant. So Krishna has made things very easy. So simply by chanting Hare Krishna, by going out on Sankirtan, distributing books, doing Harinam, we get the same benefit that these great sages, rishis, these great kings got in previous ages by doing thousands and thousands of years of tapasya. So that's what Prabhupada talks about at the start of the purport. Then Prabhupada talks about there's two kinds of activities, namely pious and impious. So in the translation, it's mentioned that Dhruva Maharaj, he diminished the reactions of pious activities by enjoyment, and by practicing austerities, he diminished inauspicious reactions. So Prabhupada, he elaborates more on this for the rest of the purport. So Prabhupada says, whenever we do any austerities in bhakti or devotional service, while we're doing that austerity in bhakti, we're actually diminishing all the reactions of our impious activities. And when we're doing devotional service, we're getting a lot of pleasure, we're getting a lot of bliss. As Krishna explains in Gita, Susukham kartum avyayam. That devotional service is joyfully performed. So when we're doing seva and we're experiencing happiness, that happiness, while we're experiencing that happiness in bhakti, Prabhupada explains, at that time we are nullifying all the reactions of our pious activities done in this life or previous lives. So in this way we keep on doing devotional service, all reactions gets nullified. Impious reactions, reactions to pious activities. And then we're completely pure, we go back home, back to Godhead. Like that Prabhupada explains. So in regards to doing austerities, Prabhupada says, in bhakti, a devotee undergoes processes of austerity such as observing Ekadasi and similar other fasting days, and refraining from illicit sex life, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. So when it comes to doing austerities in bhakti, Prabhupada just says, this is it, this is enough. So austerity in bhakti, we just follow the fasting days, like Ekadasi, Janmashtami, so on and so forth, and follow the 4 regulated principles. That's all Prabhupada mentions when it comes to practicing austerities. One time, Prabhupada in the morning, he used to go for morning walk, and they used to go chant japa in a park, and Prabhupada used to talk with devotees, and then Prabhupada used to always come back in time for darshanati around 7:15. So one time devotees were going with Prabhupada for morning walk, and one devotee, I think this was somewhere in India, maybe Vrindavan, one devotee came without shoes for the morning walk. He was just going to walk bare feet. And Prabhupada immediately looked at him and he said, where's your shoes? Like, how come you're not wearing shoes? And then Prabhupada corrected that devotee and told that devotee that mature world is already austere. There's so many austerities already in this mature world. Why you're making your life even more difficult? Why you're making your life even more austere? What's the point? Go put some shoes on, go put some sandals on and come back for the morning walk. So that was Prabhupada's mood. Prabhupada didn't want us to artificially invent new and new austerities, just for the sake of it, which doesn't bring much value actually. So Prabhupada's mood was, there's already so much difficulty here in this mature world. Why do we have to take up extra challenge? Chant Hare Krishna, take prasad, preach, make devotees. That was Prabhupada's mood. One time, Prabhupada was giving Bhagavatam class. And Prabhupada is speaking, the lecture has started. And then one devotee, he walks in. And during this time, it was winter time. So it was a bit cold. And this devotee, he walks in just with kurta and dhoti. And when Prabhupada sees this devotee walking into Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada immediately calls out to this devotee by name. I forgot the name of this devotee, but Prabhupada calls him out by his name and asks him in front of the whole audience. There's like a room full of devotees, and just one devotee comes in late for the class. And Prabhupada, in front of everyone, calls that devotee by name and asks him that, so-and-so, are you eating chicken? Like that Prabhupada asked this devotee. And this devotee is completely shocked. It's like such a random question, are you eating chicken? And he's completely shocked. He doesn't know what to say. And then he says, sorry, Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada again asks him that, are you eating chicken? Like that Prabhupada asked this devotee. And then this devotee, everyone in this room, they're completely shocked. They don't know what's going on. They're probably thinking, okay, Prabhupada, he knows something, about this devotee. And this devotee says, no, Prabhupada, I'm not eating chicken. And then Prabhupada says, no, you are lying. You must be eating chicken. This is how the meat eaters, they keep warm. They eat a lot of meat, and by eating a lot of meat and chicken, they're able to stay warm during winter. It's so cold, it's winter time, and you're coming into a temple room just with kurta and dhoti, no jumper, no shawl, nothing. So definitely you must be eating chicken. So that's how you're able to stay warm. Like this Prabhupada, chastises this devotee in front of the whole audience. So this was Prabhupada's mood, that why make your life more difficult? Take care of yourself, eat enough, sleep enough, take care of your health, take care of our basic needs. And then with good energy and fire, go out, preach, distribute books, make new devotees for Krishna, help others come to the level of bhakti, instead of artificially going out and doing austerities, artificially torturing ourselves. So when it comes to austerity, Prabhupada is saying, just simply follow Ekadasi. Like today, we're fasting from grains, and other fasting days like Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, Gaur Purnima. Okay, on these special festivals, you observe fasting and follow the 4 regulatory principles, and that's it. So we don't have to invent new and new austerities. We don't have to artificially torture ourselves. Our austerity is to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. And austerity comes when we do seva. The spiritual master, he will give us different services, understanding our mood, mentality, understanding the need of the hour. Different services will be assigned to us. While we're doing that particular seva for our spiritual master, for Prabhupada, challenges will come. Any service we do, there will be some austerity, there will be some difficulty, there will be some sacrifice we have to make. Any service we do. That difficulty that comes when we do any service, that obstacle that comes when we do any service, that is the austerity that we take up. That despite challenges coming in front of us while we're doing the service, we don't let go of that service. We don't stop doing that service. We continue on. So any service we do, there'll always be some challenge. There'll always be some difficulty. There'll always be some kind of obstacle which will come and impede us, which will challenge us. So at those times, we have to use our determination to continue on with that service and not give up. Remembering the instructions of our spiritual master, we need to continue on. And that Prabhupada says is apratihata, which means doing devotional service unchecked by any material conditions of happiness and distress. So there might be distressful conditions we're undergoing while we're doing the service, but we shouldn't let that stop our service to Krishna. We should continue on. So that is the austerity we take. Our austerity is the challenges we face while we're executing the orders of our spiritual master. Like you see Srila Prabhupada, he was ordered by his spiritual master to firstly, to preach in the English language in the Western world. And if you ever get any money, print books. So during his whole life, Prabhupada was just trying to fulfill those 2 instructions only. And while he was trying to fulfill those 2 instructions, Prabhupada faced so many challenges, so many obstacles. But Prabhupada never gave up. He continued on, despite all challenges, all obstacles. So those challenges Prabhupada faced, those challenges, obstacles, that was the austerities that Prabhupada was taking in bhakti. Like in the initial days after his spiritual master left this world, and then Prabhupada was all alone. The Gaudiya Math, it kind of dissipated, it fell apart. It broke up into different factions, and the preaching completely stopped. And then Prabhupada was just left all alone by himself. He himself had to try to do something. And Prabhupada, as a grahastha, during his spare time, he used to translate Bhagavad Gita. He used to write commentary for Bhagavad Gita. And like this, Prabhupada had written one manuscript, and Prabhupada at the same time, he was trying to run a pharmacy business. So Prabhupada's idea was that he'll become very big in his business, he'll get a lot of money, and as a wealthy man, using wealth, he can spread Krishna consciousness. So in the course of his business dealings, he came up with one person, like a higher person who's quite well off, who had connections with a wealthy person somewhere in South India. And Prabhupada mentioned to him how he had written a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, how he's looking for someone to publish it. And this friend of Prabhupada mentioned that he'll talk to his other friend who is very wealthy. And when he talked to him, this person said he actually, Prabhupada gave him a small sample of his manuscript, of his commentary in Gita. And then when this rich person looked at it, he was very impressed, and he told Prabhupada, bring me the whole manuscript, I will happily publish it. Many copies for you as a book. For free, I will do as a service. And Prabhupada was so happy actually. Then Prabhupada immediately, he traveled all the way back to his home place where his house was to get the whole, Bhagavad Gita manuscript which I had written. And it was like 1,000 pages. So Prabhupada immediately went back to get the whole manuscript of Bhagavad Gita. And, after so many years of struggle, finally there's this person who says he will freely print and publish Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in English language. So Prabhupada was so ecstatic, with great eagerness, he traveled all the way back home. When he goes back to his house, he's searching his house for the manuscript, he can't find it anywhere. He searches all around the house, nowhere can he find it. He asks his wife, she doesn't know where it is. She asks his servant, he asks his children. No one in the house knows where is the manuscript, he can't find it. He's just disappeared. So apparently someone had stolen the manuscript from his house. And in Leelamrit it's mentioned, Prabhupada suspected that one of his servants, out of greed for money, must have stolen the manuscript and sold it somewhere to get some extra money for himself. So you can imagine, how long would it have taken Prabhupada to write a 1,000-page manuscript, commentary on Bhagavad Gita. For us, in high school or university, just to write 1,000-word essay, takes us, like so many days and nights, thinking, editing, typing. It's like so much tension for us. But Prabhupada, he didn't just write 1,000-word essay, 1,000-page manuscript on Gita. How much thought, how much time must have went in. Definitely more than a year's worth of work. But just like that, it disappeared. And no one knows where it went. Did Prabhupada stop? No. Again, he started from scratch, writing. Then again, another time, his wife sold his manuscript for, tea biscuits. So, again, same thing happens, If you think about it, for us, just in the first go itself, we would have given up, we wouldn't have tried again. But Prabhupada again tried second time, same thing happens. Still he tries again. And again he writes actually. Then again when he goes to America, Prabhupada has a typewriting machine. And that also gets stolen in New York, his typewriting machine. Like this, if you study Leelamrit, so many obstacles, so many difficulties Prabhupada had to go through. But Prabhupada never gave up. Prabhupada one time he mentions that to establish ISKCON, I had to literally walk on fire to establish ISKCON. So you can imagine, just like, there's like a pathway full of fire, and imagine walking on fire. That's what Prabhupada had to go through to establish ISKCON. That's what Prabhupada says in his own words, that to establish this movement, I had to literally walk on fire actually. So if we study Leelamrit, we'll get so much inspiration, how much Prabhupada went through just to fulfill the orders of his spiritual master. So this is our austerity. Our austerity is to carry out the order of the Guru. So while we're carrying out the order of the Guru, there will be challenges, there will be so many hardships we have to go through, there will be so many difficulties, but we must persist, we must continue on. So this Prabhupada says is apratihata, unchecked by material conditions of happiness or distress. So any seva we do, there will be different obstacles. For example, like when we go out to distribute books, there will be so many impediments, obstacles. One obstacle is the weather, sometimes it will rain and it will be like heavy rain, but still we don't stop, we still go out, distribute books. And if we're doing door to door, we just hold the umbrella and go door to door, with umbrella in hand. The shoes will get wet, socks will become very soggy, but still we tolerate and we still distribute books. Like when we're on traveling Sankirtan, I remember one time we were in some country town and you can only do door to door there because there's no big town center. And for one whole week it was just raining non-stop. So during the day we used to do door to door, for 7 hours, just carrying an umbrella in our hand, going house to house. And naturally the shoes will be all wet, socks will be wet. Socks, when the socks become wet and soggy, it's like such a uncomfortable feeling actually. But still, we'll tolerate it, we'll continue on with our seva, and then we'll come back home. And the next challenge is to dry the shoes, before the next day's book distribution. So early in the morning, that will be the time when it won't be raining. So we used to put our shoes out early in the morning, in the sun. So hopefully it would dry, but still it wouldn't be fully dry. And to stop our shoes from smelling, one of the devotees, he bought a shoe spray, to remove the bad smell from the shoes. So then we used to spray that spray on the shoes so the shoes won't stink and continue on. Then we were doing research, maybe we should wear rain boots and walk, but then we realized rain boots are very uncomfortable to walk in. But then after a couple of days, the rain stopped and then we just continued. So weather, that's one challenge, we can face while distributing books, but we don't let that stop our service. Other times it'll be very, very hot. I remember twice I've distributed books, both times in Western Sydney. Both those days it was 48 degrees. One time I was in Parramatta. This is during the bushfire time, before COVID, when everyone was wearing masks because of the bushfires happening and the smoke was coming into Sydney. I remember during that summer, twice it was 48 degrees in western suburbs. Both the days we still did books. One time Parramatta, one time went to tour. And that time it was like, if you go to our kitchen, there is the oven. And if you open, while the oven is on, if you open the door of the oven and if you're right there, there's will be like everyone has that experience who has worked in kitchen. If you open the door of the oven, immediately there'll be like this, huge, hot air just blasting straight onto your face. It was like that during the whole day. There was just like hot wind just blowing on the face actually. But still we continue on. If the karmis can go out, in 48 degrees for sense gratification, then why can't Krishna's devotees go out, to serve Krishna? Prabhupada, he mentions in Gita that the devotees of the Lord, they work even harder than the karmis. So this is our duty or responsibility that we should work even harder than the karmis in serving Sri Sri Radha Gopala, in serving Srila Prabhupada. So weather is one obstacle or challenge, that we can face, but we don't let that stop. We take up that austerity and we continue on with our seva. So that is austerity in bhakti. Austerity in bhakti is whatever challenges we face while carrying out the order of the Guru, that challenge is the austerity we take up. We don't have to invent anything new. We don't have to artificially take up any austerity. So that was Prabhupada's mood. Now, next thing Prabhupada mentions is about how a devotee, when he experiences joy in devotional service, at that time he is diminishing his reactions to pious activities. So Prabhupada, he used to always quote this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Susukham kartum avyayam, that devotional service is joyfully performed. So whenever we're doing any seva, we should be experiencing great bliss and happiness. Sometimes, or one time, probably a couple of times devotees, they ask Prabhupada, that, we should be you're saying we should be feeling happy when we do seva, but sometimes I'm doing seva, I'm not feeling happy. Why is this, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada's response to that, if you're not feeling happy while you're doing seva, then you're not actually doing devotional service. Because according to Shastra, while you do devotional service, you should be experiencing ecstasy. You should be feeling happiness. So if we're not feeling happiness, it means we're doing something wrong actually. We're not doing it properly. And this we see in first canto of Bhagavatam with the example of Srila Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, he is doing devotional service, which is writing Shastra, writing books for the benefit of the people in Kali Yuga. So Vyasadeva, with his spiritual vision, he can see how Kali Yuga is coming, how people there will be so fallen. So for the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga, he starts putting all the Shastras into book format. Because everyone's memory will be so weak, they can't remember simply by hearing. They need books to be able to read and remember. Previous ages, the Guru just used to speak to the student, and whatever the student used to hear, he would just remember. He would never forget. Just once he would hear from his Guru Maharaj, whatever he heard would stay in his mind for the rest of his life. He would never forget. But naturally in Kali Yuga, people don't have that memory power. So Vyasadeva, he starts putting all the Shastras into book format. First he breaks up the one Veda into 4 Vedas. Then he writes, Upanishads, Puranas. Then he writes the Vedanta Sutra. He writes Mahabharata. After writing so many different scriptures, he's not feeling happy. He's not feeling satisfied. Why? Because in the next chapter, Narad Muni comes, his Guru Maharaj, and Narad Muni tells him, the reason you're not feeling satisfied is because you're not doing your seva properly. So whenever we're doing seva and we're not feeling happy or satisfied, then the cause for that is we're doing something wrong in our devotional service. So then we have to be a bit introspective and see where we're going wrong. Maybe we might have offended some devotees, or maybe while we're doing the service, we might be doing some seva aparat, we might be doing something improperly. And for that reason, we're not feeling the bliss, actually, joyfulness. So in Srila Vyasadev's case, Narad Muni explains, the reason you're not feeling happy and satisfied is because you haven't done your service properly. What he didn't do properly? Narad Muni says that the people, they're already inclined to sense gratification. So why are you writing all these books to teach them, how to do sense gratification in a pious way? Instead, you should write a book which talks only about Krishna and nothing else. That will be the greatest service you can do for humanity. That will be the greatest service you can do for the people of Kali Yuga. So now you sit down and you write a book which only talks about pure devotional service, which only talks about Krishna and nothing else. Then Vyasadeva sits and he follows his Guru Maharaj's instruction. Then he writes, Srimad Bhagavatam, Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So then Vyasadeva writes Bhagavatam, then he feels the happiness, then he feels the ecstasy. So whenever we do any service, we should feel that bliss, that happiness. Like we have that bhajan, Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana, Nitai Gorachan, Sabha Avatara, Sarasiramani, Kevala Ananda Kanda. I like reciting this verse, whenever I take darshan of Gaur Nitai. This verse from a Vaishnava bhajan, it mentions that Parama Karuna, that you two, Lords, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, you are the most merciful, you're the most magnanimous. Parama Karuna Pahu Duijana Nitai Gaurachan. Sabha Avatara Sarasiramani. Out of all the avatars, Sarasiramani, you're the crest jewel of all the avatars. There is no one greater than you two. Then Kevala Ananda Kanda. Kevala Ananda Kanda means that you have introduced a process of religion, you have introduced a process of self-realization, which is simply blissful and joyful to perform. So when I recite this, I always thank Gaur Nitai for giving us such a easy, simple, and blissful process to practice. Chanting, singing, dancing, feasting, distributing books, reading Bhagavatam. Everything, that we do is so fun and blissful. In the morning we wake up, come, sing and dance in front of Radha Gopinath. Isn't that fun? Isn't that blissful? Then we hear Bhagavatam. So nice to hear, read Bhagavatam. Then we take prasad. So nice to just sit and, relish prasad with devotees. We hear lectures. Then we go do seva. We go distribute books. So like this, everything that Shri Shri Gaur Nitai has given us, everything is blissful. There is actually no austerity. So that bliss we experience while we're doing seva, that is the mercy of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. Previous ages, they were, austerities they had to do. But Prabhupada explains that the process Gaur Nitai have given for this age is so simple, so easy, and on top of that, every single thing they have given us is so fun to do actually. Simple process. Chanting, dancing, feasting, and doing some seva. Chanting is fun, dancing is fun, feasting is fun, and doing seva for Gaur Nitai, for Radha Gopinath, that's also fun. So everything is fun. So there's actually no austerity. One time, Srila Prabhupada, he said that if you simply read my books every day, you will always stay a devotee. You will never fall down. And if you distribute my books, you will always be happy. You will always be ecstatic. Another time, regarding happiness, my Guru Maharaj, there was one of my godbrothers. As a new bhakta, he came to my Guru Maharaj and he was inquiring about happiness, how to be happy. And my Guru Maharaj advised him. My Guru Maharaj told this devotee that don't try to search for happiness. Instead, search for an opportunity to serve. If you're simply always looking for an opportunity to serve, happiness will be forced upon you. So this, my Guru Maharaj says, is the secret of happiness. Secret of happiness is not to go out and search for happiness. How can I be happy? How can I be happy? Should I do this? Should I do that? No. Instead of searching for happiness, you search for opportunities to serve. If we're simply always hungry and searching for opportunities to serve, then my Guru Maharaj mentions that happiness will be forced upon us. In this way, my Guru Maharaj says, we'll always be happy, ecstatic devotees. If we're always looking for an opportunity to serve. And this principle we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita with the gopis, of Vrindavan. They never think about their own happiness. They never think about their own sense gratification. They always think about how to please Krishna's senses. They always think about how to bring happiness to Krishna. But although they never think about their happiness, Krishna, he forces happiness upon them. So this, my Guru Maharaj mentions, is the secret of happiness. We just simply always think, how can I serve the other devotees? How can I serve Radha Gopinath? How can I serve Srila Prabhupada? Always be hungry, be greedy for service. While we try to function in that selfless mode of service, Krishna will force genuine spiritual happiness upon us, and we'll always be happy, ecstatic devotees. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, we'll stop here. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, entire Gaur Premanande.